What's up guys, hello and welcome back to another video. Now, you may have remembered recently that I did a 50 tricks for beginner skateboarders, the best ones to get you started, all this, that and the other. Went through loads of them and then slowly brought up the difficulty as we went through the video. Today, we're going to be doing something similar, but this time we're doing it in the mini ramp. This is our indoor mini ramp that we have just in case it's either school holidays, which it is right now, or raining outside. So we're going to go through 50 tricks in here and we're going to do 50 slow-mos as well, but they're going to be filmed at the skate park just to keep the shots a bit fresher so it's not all one area. But yeah, we're going to follow a similar format to what we did for the 50 flat ground tricks. Okay, so the way this is going to work is I've got all my tricks right here. We're going to do 15 easy beginner ones, then we're going to do 5 grind slash slides, then we've got another 15 mid difficulty ones that are going to be like a bit more, tiny bit more experience, but you could still probably get them as a beginner. Then I'm going to go over 10 unique tricks that you won't see very often, that not a lot of people do, but I really enjoy. And finally, we're going to end the video off with 5 difficult tricks to set your sights on for maybe the end of summer or the end of the year or whatever. So you're going to have a full list, and what I would suggest you guys do is as you watch through this video, write down the ones you like the look of and then put them in your agenda for learning this summer, because that's what you need to do to get better faster. And finally, one more thing I need to say is this isn't going to be like full tutorials on the tricks. I'm just going to do them, explain them as I put a slow-mo on the screen, and then it's up to you to try and figure it out from there. I have full tutorials on the channel, but this is more of an inspiration video. With all that being said, let's get into the first tricks. Right, so we're about to begin, and I also saw you guys were commenting a lot about my hat, so I thought I would put the jacket on and show you that too, but it's ridiculously hot in here, so I'm taking that straight off. But yeah, Spitfire jacket, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Right, so dropping in is obviously something that we're gonna need for most of these tricks, but for quite a few of these first ones, we don't really need to, so I'm not even going to do it. We're gonna start at the bottom, we're gonna give ourselves a little bit of a push, a little bit of a pump, and then we're gonna get into the tricks. The first one is the rock fakie. A lot of you guys probably know what the rock fakie is. It looks like this. You go up, rock the board on the coping, and come back down. Rock, back in. So a quick explanation of the trick. You come up, put the weight on the front foot, it lifts up the back wheels, then you end up rocking on the coping like a seesaw. That's why they call it a rock to fakie, and then lift the front wheels back up, and then you go on to trick number 2. The next trick is called the 50-50 slash axle stool. Basically, you balance both trucks on the coping and it will look just like this. Come up, both trucks on, turn back in. 90 degrees, turn back in. There are a few ways you can do this trick. You can either lock in like this with your weight on your heels so that your wheels are locking into the coping, or you can lock like this, where you have the back wheel on there like that and the front wheel like this. That's called a cross pinch. That's called a one side pinch or a heel pinch. And you don't want to be on there like that. That's just not easy to get in. So like this and then turn back in. Right, this next one is called a feeble, and it's very, very similar to that last 50-50 or axle stool, I should probably call it, because 50-50 is the grind. You come up, and instead of getting both trucks to the axle stool, the front truck sits off to the side just like that. It's going to look like this. This is probably a bit easier than the last one. And a lot of people find this easier than the rock fakie. Come up like that. The back truck is the only thing on the coping. Just like that. Probably the easiest stool, to be honest. Right, so the next one is the rock and roll. You put the wheels over the coping like the rock fakie, and then you kick turn out. So a kick turn is this. Just turning around. To do the rock and roll, front wheels over, turn round. Front wheels over, turn round. Just like that. And I'm aware I'm going to say just like that probably quite a few times in this video. Okay, so next we've got the fakie rock. For this one, fakie means riding backwards, just in case you didn't know. So we're going to have to turn around. I'm going to do it on this side. So turning around, do my rock fakie, and this is a fakie rock. Just ride the back wheels over. Less scary than the rock fakie, because you get to come back in facing forward, just like this, and then roll back in. Exactly the same as the rock fakie when it comes to how the trick is done on the coping, except this time it's fakie and back into normal. Next trick. Right, so this next one is the half cab rock. Basically, a half cab is a fakie 180, but you don't have to pop the 180 when you're doing it to rock fakie. So you're just gonna come up backwards, come up fakie, turn your shoulders and hips, get into rock fakie, and then come back down facing backwards, just like this. Just like this. Just turn those hips and shoulders. I would turn the shoulders first, hips follow, boom. Just like that. Okay, so the next one is the 5-0. Basically, you're gonna come up and you're gonna do like a tiny little manual on the coping, but you just stay stationary. So you come up, back wheels on the coping, front wheels in the air, and then you turn back in. Come up, front wheel in the air, front wheel in the air, front wheel in the air. Ow! I just slipped out on the coping and really hurt my hand. But yeah, anyway, 5-0 is not really dangerous. Wheels in the air and back in. Wheels in the air and back in. 5-0 is actually really fun. That was just a 1 in a million fluke 4. Okay, so this next one is a Smith. Basically, instead of coming up for your 5-0 there, your feeble there, or your axle there, the Smith is when you lean the front wheels into the ramp. So you come up, my body's facing this way, I'm going up, and I'm getting into this position here, back wheels on the coping, front wheels dipped into the ramp, and then leaning in to get back to normal. And it'll look just like this. That's a Smith. So next we've got the 360 rock. This is a combination of the half cab rock and the rock and roll. You come up fakie, turn 180 into it, and then turn 180 out again, just like this. Turn 180 in, and then turn 180 out. The faster you do it, the better, just like. But you can get away with doing it like this, and then doing it later. Either way, one of my favorite tricks, and one of the first ones that I ever learned in the mini ramp, so it's definitely good for beginners. So next we've got what is called the rock sex change or rock body varial, if you want to call it that. Either way, you go up, put the front wheels over the coping as you do with the rock, and then you switch your stance from one way to the other. Easier if I just show you. Okay. Rock, jump, back in. I'll show you 2 more times, one that side, one this side. So, rock, body varial, back in. Rock, body varial, and back in. It seems a lot scarier than it is, but trust me, I've taught so many people that have not been skating for more than like a couple of months this trick, so definitely give it a try and see how you feel. Tail stall up next. What you do for this one is you come up and you get back into this position here. This is your tail stall. Obviously, if you just put the board here and drop in, it's just a drop in. But if you come up fakie, put the tail on the coping, stay like this for a second, and then go back in, that's your tail stall. It's all about the timing. Just wait, put the weight on the back, and then drop back in. Do it quickly at first, like this. Just lean back, and as you come back in, make sure you lean forward. And that is your tail stall. Next, you've got what's called the front side rock. So think of the rock and roll where we go up and we turn around the way we're facing. So for a rock and roll, you go over the coping and then turn this way. Turn this way, the way that your body is already facing. For a front rock, you go up, put the wheels over the coping, and then you turn this way. Turn this way. Get your front side kick turns nice first. So like, do this. And then when you feel like you're ready, tap the coping. And the more confident you get, the further you can go up the ramp. Right, next, fakie axle stall. For this one, you're gonna ride out fakie, turn into it with your back facing the coping, and then ride forwards back in. Harder to get into, easier to get out of, but it's gonna look like this. So, facing fakie, just like that. Bit of a sketchy one, but not too difficult. I'll show you again on this side. just like that. Fakie 50-50, or fakie axle stall, I keep messing them up. All right, so next up we've got nose stall. Same as the tail stall, but this time we're putting the weight onto the front of our board. In case you didn't know as well, tail is the back, like that, tail stall. Nose is the front, nose stall. Only difference is you have to drop in with your other foot. So this one is a bit booky. You might not enjoy it. This might not be for everyone, but for me, I didn't mind this one too much when I was new. So go up, tap the nose, come back down. Just do it super quick at first, like that. Tiny bit of weight on the front foot, and then drop back in. And then when you're feeling brave, you go all the way up and drop in properly. That's the nose stall. All right, so next you've got your grandma's favorite trick, the willy tap. Basically what we're gonna do on this one is we're gonna tap the front trucks on the coping in the middle of a kick turn, pretty much. So for those of you that don't know, a willy stall is when you come up facing forwards and you're on the coping like that. So like the opposite of a Smith, basically. Your nose is on the coping, your tail is dipping. With a Smith, tail on the coping, nose is dipping. So like the opposite of a Smith. And it's super easy, this one. Just tap the truck. As long as the truck touches the coping, you're all good. Try and make some noise if you want to, like. And you can also do it front side. I'll do it on the other side for this one. Front side right here. If anything, I prefer that one. But yeah, that's our 15 beginner tricks. Now we're going to do 5 grind/slides. Right, so next we've got the 50-50 grind. This is our first grind/slide of the video, and we're only going to do 5 of these. These are just the 5 that I would deem the quickest to learn and the lowest risk. So 50-50, basically, instead of coming up in an axle stall and just staying there and going back in, you come up, you grind like this, and you go back in. 50-50. Let's show you. You can start super slow and add speed as you feel more comfortable. Probably the easiest grind out of all of them. Right, the next one, board slide. Basically, rock fakie, same sort of thing. Instead of going rock to fakie, we're going to do rock and slide it across and then come to fakie. This is probably one of the harder ones out of the beginner tricks, but still very achievable for a lot of beginners. I've seen so many young kids do it like this. So basically, you're going to go up at an angle like this, go up at an angle like this, and as you come, put the weight into the rock fakie and come back down like that. This one's going to take practice, but it feels really cool. I didn't really slide much. Let me go again. All right, just like this. Just get a little slide at first and work your way up as you go. All right, next we've got the 5-0 grind. Again, same thing. You're gonna manual along the coping and you're gonna look something like that. The lower you go on the coping, the easier it is, but just practice it slowly and add speed as you get more comfortable. But remember, commitment is key for stuff like this. There's a baby 5-0 for you. That's how I would suggest you try it at first. And honestly, the bigger the coping on the ramp, the easier it is. The only problem with our little ramp here is it's great for beginners, but with grinds like 5-0 and stuff, it's a bit harder because the coping is so small. But the slow-mo's on screen right now, you can see from the skate park. And yeah, the main thing, commitment, stay on the board, whatever happens, and you'll be far better off. This one is the lip slide. So what you do for this one is it's basically like a board slide, but you have to turn into it. So the wheels have to go over the coping to get into it first. My favorite way of doing it is a frontside 180. It's definitely my favorite, but not necessarily the easiest. So this one might take you a while. You might want to put this one further on in your plan of learning tricks, but either way, this is the frontside lip slide. We're gonna front 180 in, and it will look like this. Fucking hell, why is it so slippery? It's never normally this slippery. Oh, I know why. I just got an Everslick board. I completely forgot about that. This is basically a graphic that acts like pre-waxed, so it's always super slippery, and I wasn't compensating for that because this is my first mini ramp session on the board. So now with that in mind, let's Everslick our way into a lip slide. Just like this. The slides are a bit tougher on such a small coping, but the slow-mo's on screen now from the skate park, so just watch those over and over, try and get used to it, but that is the lip slide. All right, trick number 20, our final slide, is a half cab board slide. Similar to the half cab rock fakie, but this time we're gonna put our weight onto the coping to slide us along as well, like we did with the board slide a few tricks ago. So, is turn around, get some speed. Again, hard to do on such a small coping, but will look just like that when you eventually get it. And again, the bigger the coping, the easier it is to grind and slide stuff like this because you have more of a sweet spot when it comes to locking in. With a small coping, it's easier for the wheels to either touch the ramp or touch the deck. So bigger coping helps a lot with grinds and slides. Right, now we've got 15 mid-difficulty tricks. Some of these might be mixed up with some of the beginner ones. Some you might find easier, some you might find harder. Remember, everybody's different, and these are just my personal opinions on which ones are harder than others, which is why when you see the difficulty at the bottom of the screen of each trick, it might feel a bit harder or easier than what you thought. So that is my disclaimer for this section, but we're gonna get into the 15 mid tricks now. Then we've got 10 unique that I really enjoy that you won't see very often, and then we've got 5 difficult ones to set your sights on. So, first one, fakie pop rock. Fakie pop means when you're coming up in fakie, you like bump the back wheels off the coping and you catch a little bit of air, land back in rock, and then going forward. Catch the air, all you do is put weight on the back foot as you come up, kind of like a fakie ollie, but if you watch the slow-mos, you'll see what I mean. But it looks just like this. One of my favorite tricks. I think it looks really nice. And you can put as much or as little effort as you want. Right there. On to the next one. Next we've got the fakie Smith. Come up as again in fakie, and you're going to put your back truck on it with your front truck tip, just like we did for the normal Smith. But this one is anything easier to get back in. So like that, and back in. Again, watch the slow-mos to see how my weight shifts onto the back foot as I go up and then lean back in. You'll have to forgive me as well. I'm going to be speeding through these next ones a little bit faster than normal just because the camera is on a ridiculously low battery. I charged it all last night. God knows what happens. Life of being a camera operator. 5-0 rock and roll. You go 5-0, shift your weight back into rock fakie and then pivot out just like this. So, 5-0. Fucking hell. Oh, days. So, go up, 5-0, rock, and then pivot out. One more time, 5-0, rock, pivot out. Again, it looks a lot harder than it is, but it's actually not too bad. So give it a try and see how you feel. Next, we've got the nose stool revert. For this one, you're going to come up, tap your nose like we did before, but we're going to turn back in. Come up, nose stool, and then revert back in. A lot of people find this easier than the nose stool and just coming back in straight. But just turn your shoulders first, turn your shoulders, and hips follow. Next, we've got the 270 feeble. You come up, do one of these, stop and feeble, and then go back in. Just like that. This one, you've really just got to try it. I can't really explain it other than 270 pivot, stop and feeble, and then go back in. Watch the slow-mos, see how I do it, and give it a try for yourself. Next, we've got the blunt pull-in. You're basically going to come up into blunt like this, and then pull the board in and get back into the ramp. So when you come up, you're going to be in blunt like this, and you're going to pull the board towards you and jump back onto it and end up with like something like this. Let me show you the real thing now. Again, this one is one that's like all in your head. Way easier if you just try it and see how you feel. And it should go like this. That was sketchy, I'll do it again. Again, not great, but You get the gist. Next, we've got the blunt to rock. Again, get into blunt, then just do a slight little pop of an ollie, get yourself into rock fakie, and then come back in backwards. Again, way easier than it looks. Much easier than the blunt where you pop straight back in, so just give it a try. Get up there, shift the weight, and come back in. That was really sketchy, but this is how it should look. Just a little ollie, and you'll land back in rock fakie. Just like that. Next, we're coming on this side, rock, sex change, revert. You go up, rock fakie, turn your body, and then revert back in. Again, I've taught loads of beginners this one. So, rock, revert. Oh, got a slight hint of wheel bite there. So again, show you one more time. Go up, rock, sex change, and then revert in. Again, my boy Josh, who's only been skating like less than a year at this point, I've taught him pretty much most of these tricks. So that one right there is a great one to try, and it's not too scary. So just definitely give that one a shot. Next up, we've got nollie shove to rock. We're going to be getting into a few tricks in and out of rock fakie. So this one, you're going to use the front of the board to do a nollie shove. If you don't know what a nollie shove is, basically go up on the front of the board, a little shove it there, one more time. Riding forward, swing the board round, and then rock fakie. That's the aim of this trick. And again, it's way easier than it looks. Nollie shove to rock. Next one is the fakie shove to switch rock, or fakie shove to fakie rock, whichever you want to call it. Basically, as long as you can fakie shove, it's the opposite to what we just did with the nollie shove. Come up backwards, tiny little shove it, and then just ride in forwards. The more you practice, the better the shove it will be. Again, as soon as you can shove it, or even if you can just barely shove it, you can probably do this one quite easily, so give it a try. So the next one is the Smith 270. We're going to come up in fakie, get ourselves into Smith like we did earlier, but instead of going in like that, we're going to throw our weight round like a fakie front 180 and go, and get back in fakie. This one you can probably do it a bit easier from Axel, but some people find it easier for Smith. I personally find it easier to do out of Smith, but I'll show you both. So this is the Smith version, fakie Smith, get back in like that. I'll show you the Axel version now. But yeah, like I said, Smith is slightly easier, but some of my friends prefer this one. Front 50 270, or front axle 270. So the next one is the staple gun. Might be difficult to do it here because the deck of the top of the ramp is so small, but I'll try. Basically what you do is you put the wheels over the coping like that, and then you bring them back in and step onto it. Now that I know that my board is big enough to fit at the top, I will do it properly. So, gotta be careful. Put all the weight on the front foot of the board, so like that, and then bring it back in and jump on. To break this one down, you can do it super slow, like put the board over, bring it back, and then step on. But ideally, you would do it all in one motion, just like that. Next, we've got the frontside disaster. Basically means you do a frontside 180 and land in switch rock or fakie rock, whichever you want to call it again. As long as you can frontside 180, you'll be fine. Frontside 180, if you didn't know, is like, just like that. Now we're going to do it into disaster. Oh, Jesus Christ. Did not expect to slide. Again, this graphic makes the board extremely slippery. And then, just like that. The 180 doesn't matter too much. Jesus Christ, it's so slippery. Literally, I'll be warning you, if you get one of these ever slick graphics, it's like an ice rink on the bottom, so be careful. Next, we've got the backside 180. Same concept, but we're spinning the other way to get into it. I'd say this one is a tad harder as well. So, like that. I'll do one more. Yeah, I'm not very good at this one, as you can see, but I'll do one clean one right here. There we go. Next, we've got the front side axle. Turning around, that's the backside axle. And the front side axle is coming up right now. Again, this one is probably a bit scarier than the most. As long as you can get comfortable with turning into the axle with your back facing the ramp, then just turn in. This is one of them ones where it's all in your head. Just practice it low down on the ramp, like this. Like this. And then build the confidence as you go. And that's your 15 intermediate tricks. Next one is the double rock. You basically go up and seesaw twice on the coping. So you put the weight on one foot to the other and then back again, just like this. Almost got caught on the tiny coping again. Just like that. And if you're feeling adventurous, throw a third one in there. That's the first unique trick out of 10. This next one is called the window wiper, probably one of the hardest on this entire list. Basically, you come up and instead of doing like a willy tap on one side like this, and then going in, you do double willy tap, so bang, bang, and then back in like that. And this one is probably the hardest to get, but I think it's pretty good, and if you're playing skate, we'll always get people in a letter, that is for sure. But you gotta be super fast on your feet, so gotta be ready for it. Like, I missed on both. Here we go. Gotta be quick as you can. I can't really tell if I'm hitting both, but just like that. So. And that is the window wiper. On to the next one. So this one is the fakie pop, like we did earlier. Fakie pop to rock, sex change, revert back in, just like this. Oh, nope. We're gonna go just like that. Again, quite a tough one, but I think it looks all right, to be honest. Make sure you watch the slow-mo, see exactly what my body's doing, which way I'm coming at it, and you should have it in no time. All right, next we're doing the kickflip rock. I'm gonna do it on that side, so Baze, if you'd move out the way, please. Again, if you can kickflip, take it to rock fakie. You can do this with any trick, pop, shove it, 180, any kind of trick, just try it to rock. And you'll expand your arsenal pretty damn nicely. And it should look just like this. Kickflip rock. Next, you've got the Fakie Smith front rock. Again, probably one of the tougher ones, but definitely one of the best in my opinion. I'm gonna come up, go to Fakie Smith, and then we're gonna get up here to rock, and then turn back in the way we came. Probably, again, like I say, one of the more difficult ones on this list, but definitely worth learning if you feel like you're up to it. So we go Smith, rock, and then back in like that. One of my favorites, but it really does twist up your body, so make sure if you're gonna try it, you stretch out, because the amount of times where I've got like a pulled muscle in my chest or back and not figured out that it was doing tricks like that made it happen, it happens. So stretch out first. Next, we've got the double willy, very similar to the double rock. Tap, tap, and then back in, just like this. Takes a bit of practice, but not too hard. One more for good luck. Just like that. It's satisfying when you get the ching ching of hitting the full truck on the coping, you know? Next, we've got the Fakie staple gun pull-in. So instead of doing the staple gun where we kick the board out in front of us and then come back, we're gonna use our back foot, kick the board out behind us, grab the nose, and then pull it back. Probably a slightly safer version, but definitely more unique to see someone actually do it. So, back foot up here, right there, and then, whoop, landed to nose manual. Again, remember, just because I'm doing these tricks in a list doesn't mean that I'm doing every single one of them every try. Even when you can do tricks, you're gonna find it difficult to get them all the time, but just be aware that you can learn them fairly quickly if you just believe you're gonna land it. That's the fakie staple gun. Nollie shove, rock and roll is the next one. Again, like we did with the nollie shove rock fakie, but this time we're going to turn out of it as well. More of an advanced trick, but definitely worth a learn. And in my opinion, looks quite cool still. So, nollie shove, rock and roll. One more time. Nollie shove, rock and roll. Actually not too difficult compared to some of the other ones in this unique section. Next, we've got the river dance. For this one, we're going to come back into tail stool. We're going to hop onto our front foot and then hop back into the board. Kind of a hit and hope. Again, this trick is more in your head. Make sure you go into it with the thought process of like, I'm going to land it regardless, and you'll have a much better chance. So, turning around. Come up to tail stool, right here. And then we're going to switch to our front foot on the tail like this. And then once we're here is where it gets scary. We're going to jump back in. But it's always easiest to do it all in one motion so you don't stop and think too much about it. If you sit up here and think for too long, it's going to be way scarier. So when you want to do it quick. Just like that. And make sure that you lean and bend your knees loads when you go back in to avoid slipping back. Next one is the disaster sex change. Frontside 180 into rock and then body varial around again. So, spin around, let's go. For that one, it's all about just getting that 180. As soon as you're locked into the rock, just body varial around, come back in fakie again. Slow-mo is gonna help you a lot with this one, and practice, 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 because it takes a little while. So now we've got 5 hard / scary tricks. Only got 4% left on the camera, so I'm gonna rush through them fairly quickly. Blunt pop-in comes first. You come up, get into blunt, put a bit of pressure on the back foot to ollie back in and come down fakie. Babes, back side for me, please. Should look a little something like this. Harder on a small coping, but should look just like this. See how the board's slightly turned? That's because the coping is so small. But there we go, blunt popping. Next, you've got the disaster revert. Basically, we've got a front 180 into the switch rock again, but this time we're going to pivot out as if we would for like a rock and roll or a revert out of any kind of these tricks, basically. So 180 in, 180 out. Again, easier if you do it quickly. Again, one of the more difficult tricks, so set this as one of like your end goal for the summer if you're still quite new to skating. Next, we've got the tail stool revert. We're gonna come up into tail stool, but instead of dropping straight back in, we're gonna revert in. You're gonna have to shift your weight and throw your body into the backside 180, but again, scarier than it looks, but it's gonna take a bit of practice for sure. But when you get it, it should look just like this. See how I turn my upper body first? And the lower body follows, just like that. 2 left to go. Penultimate trick is the rock and rewind. Basically, we're gonna come up as if we were to half cab rock, and then we're gonna front rock out. This one requires some good flexibility of the hips, so make sure you stretch out your hips and body, and when you get to it, you could start off by practicing like this, if you go, but when you're ready, take it to the coping, and you should end up with that. One more to rock it properly, and that's your rock and rewind. One more trick to go. Final trick, 5-0 big spin. We're gonna 5-0, throw a shove it out. We've got no % battery left, so see if I can do it first try. 5-0, almost fell out, one more try. Our last try to land it. After 2 stacks at full commitment. Whoa. You'll see the slow-mo on screen for a slightly cleaner one, but that was 50 tricks. Camera's about to die. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.